What's up, everyone? Welcome to Picksburgh. My name is Anthony, and you are back for another episode of Collecting Profit with my co-hostess with the mostest, Michael, over there at Huddle Card Collection. How you doing today, brother?
Doing great, Anthony. Thank you for having me this week. Much appreciated.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Do you believe that this is the 25th episode of this podcast? It's crazy, man, how time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, no doubt. I didn't realize it. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Shout out to my guy, Paul, over there at Inside the Shop. He is one part of the podcast over there on Facebook called Off Centered. They do a great job every Friday morning U.S. time. I'm pretty sure it's Friday evening for them over there in the Philippines. But they do a lot of great hobby content, so definitely check them out. We are going to bring our guest on here in just 1 second. But if you guys have a chance as you come into the chat, I do have the website the Facebook page for 5 Star Wrestling there. You can go and keep up with all the posts and stuff that are coming up, any announcements that happen in terms of like wrestlers and stuff that are going to be coming, and different match cards, different events that they put on and whatnot. So without further ado, though, guys, I do want to bring on the guest of honor, the man, the myth, the legend, Diamond Joe Rogers. What's up, my man?
Hey, not much, Tony. Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tony, for bringing me on.
Thanks for coming on.
Oh, man, this is going to be fun, man. We're going to get to reminisce a little bit. We're going to get to hear about all the new fun and exciting things you got going on. I mean, my man Diamond Joe strutting down limousines with the nature boy Ric Flair. What you know about that? I had to put that picture up there on the thumbnail, man. Like,
that's 2016 was huge to have Ric Flair there in my hometown, of all places. Yeah. It came together beautiful, man. There's nothing else I could say about it. I mean, it was probably one of the biggest moments in my whole wrestling career. I've been doing it for 15 years now. And to have Ric Flair, to be Ric Flair into my hometown, it was just awesome.
That is awesome, man. I mean, Ric Flair is like arguably the GOAT of wrestling. And like, I mean, for guys our age, like, I mean, I can't speak for Michael because he's a couple years older than us, but for like me and you, Joe, who are roughly within a few years of each other, man, Ric Flair was like our childhood, man. Like, no offense, Michael.
Dude, he's been around freaking forever.
He might have been your childhood too, with that being said. Touche.
Michael was probably Bruno Sammartino.
I am a huge Bruno Sammartino fan.
I knew it. I just saw his face. I just started looking at his face. I knew it.
I used to go to Nassau Coliseum and watch Bruno wrestle when he had the title in the early 70s and stuff.
Yeah. Jabisco was one of his opponents back in the 70s. Yeah. I mean, I knew you was a Bruno fan just by the look on your face.
What's up, Dom? Good to see you, brother.
Tommy.
You too, brother.
So, outside of Ric Flair, like, what were the other, like, would you say, like, man, I can't believe, like, this is actually happening to me moments you've had, like, in the business?
I'm not even gonna lie to you, Tony. 3 weeks ago, I had Eric Bischoff. That guy set the Attitude Era, the NWO. If it wasn't for him, let's be honest, it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have no Attitude Era. We wouldn't have the NWO. We wouldn't have had none of that. It would have been still cartoon wrestling from the early 90s and 80s. So having him there 3 weeks ago, I'm not going to say it was bigger than Ric Flair, but it was pretty damn close. It was like, Flair was like here. Bischoff's probably like right here, neck to neck. So that was a big moment, you know.
I mean, he had to be very instrumental in Hogan going heel.
Well, you got to think about this. From 83 until like 96, Hogan was this All-American, red, white, and blue, eating the vitamins, saying your prayers. That was dying out. That's over 10 years. And for Bischoff to be smart enough to say, we need to change you up to keep you relevant, to bring you back. And him to go heel after like, what was it, easy 10, 15 years of him just being the All-American top face of the company, saying all the right things, kissing babies, shaking hands, and him to turn NWO. It was all because of Eric Bischoff. It was Eric Bischoff that set that all off. Because if he forced Vince McMahon's hand, Vince McMahon would have never done what he done. There's no way. There's no way he would have done it.
Definitely and for sure. He had to, because if he didn't do what he did, he would have got crushed.
And think about it. After the Attitude Era, and then he bought WCW, what did he do? PG-13. He went back to the same stuff that he was doing in the early 90s, mid-90s. So he had to do what he did. So I credit Eric Bischoff for everything that so like I always say, he's like he's not a wrestler per se, but he's like the top 5, top 3 most important people in pro wrestling.
Yep.
And there he is coming out. Yeah.
Yep, that's him at the show, and this is going to be video of Bischoff actually coming out right here. I tried to kind of get it to the point where he comes out. Would you say this is a good point, Joe?
Yeah. That's perfect.
Oh, is that Buff Bagwell in the ring?
Yeah, it's Buff. Buff was there. Yeah,
with that big ass hat.
Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason my Facebook connection is like super slow. But that's awesome, man. Like, so you got Eric Bischoff, you got Buff Bagwell, just a few other notable wrestlers that were there. Who remembers Gangrel, the guy who created the Brood, who spit the blood every single match? There's a face-on picture of him right there. Buff the Stuff, Bagwell, you know, the guy who looks just like me without a shirt on.
I mean, the goatee is right there.
Was this New Jack, Joe, or who's this one here?
Nuclear Scorpio.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was one of those two.
Yo.
He looked a little less crazy than New Jack, so I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah.
New Jack's like legitimately as crazy as he looks, from what I understand.
Yeah, he passed away actually about a year ago.
What's that?
New Jack passed away about a year ago. You know that, right?
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Of a heart attack. Yeah, I think he's a lot of them guys, as you know, they put stuff in their bodies they ain't supposed to be putting in their bodies, and your heart gives out eventually. That's a lot of the guys. I mean, unfortunately, that's just how the business is, and that's the black eye of the business. That sucks.
Are you in the market for a new wrestler, potentially with the finishing move, the flying Mets elbow? Because your buddy Dom I think he's calling out Tony Hansen right now.
that's kind of remarkable. Mets flying elbow. I bet we'll make some money on that.
Yeah, there we go. You guys can be the incredible Mets fans.
That was up. Especially taking New York City over there by Met Stadium.
So, Joe, let me ask you this, man, because I know we only got you for a limited time this evening. What made you want to get into the wrestling business?
So let's talk about it. So I've been a long life fan of wrestling. I remember watching Saturday Night Main Events with my whole family. It was a big thing to my family. My grandmother, my mother, my mother's side of the family always watched Saturday Night Main Events, Superstars in the morning. I mean, and growing up as a kid in Northeast PA, we didn't have a lot of wrestling events per se coming to our town because we lived in the middle of PA. So we had Philadelphia was like 3 hours one way, and we had Pittsburgh was like 4 hours the other way. Now they did come to Hershey, that was like about 90 minutes from us, but we never actually got to go any wrestling events when I was younger. later on in life, when I moved to Memphis, we got to go all kind of wrestling events because they always came to Memphis, and it's Memphis wrestling. But I always was a big fan. I always knew I wanted to do something in wrestling. And here's the thing: I got bad knees. I mean, completely bad knees. Born with bad knees. I could never be a wrestler. I mean, they would never hold up. So I always wanted to figure out what could I do to get in the wrestling business. Referee, manager, I was willing to do anything, you know. And when I moved to Pittsburgh in 2005, I met a guy named Lord Zoltan in 2007, 8. And Lord Zoltan, as Tony knows, is a big deal in Pittsburgh. If you don't know who Lord Zoltan is in Pittsburgh, then you're not a wrestling fan.
He's looking good around here, man.
Yeah, he
Shout out
is.
to him.
Yeah. Lord Zoltan is like, he knows everybody. He wrestled Andre the Giant back in the 80s. He wrestled Andre the Giant, the Samoans. He done it all. So he knows a lot of people. So I talked to Lord Zoltan, told him I wanted to be involved. And he suggested, why don't you promote shows? Why don't you promote shows? There's nothing physical you got to do, but use your mind. So humming to him about it. In 2008, 9-ish, maybe 2009, I ran my first show where I had no knowledge of anything. And, you know, in this kind of business, Anthony, Tony could tell you, it's a very hard business when you don't know what's going on. When you just jump head first into it. I did that my first show, and it was a complete failure. And that's all me, you know. But I learned a lot that night. That taught me so much about the business. And it took a year off. And I met a guy, and he was working in Pittsburgh, young guy, up and coming as a tag team wrestler. And, you know, he's in this chat room, you know. He's sitting right here. And he was telling me that he was pretty fed up where he was working at. Tony Hansen. He was pretty fed up where he was working at, and he just wanted to get out of there and do something himself. And at that point, I was so young and naive about the wrestling business, not knowing a whole lot. And it was just a perfect combination with me and Tony. It was a perfect combination. He wanted to get out where he was at. The politics in pro wrestling are terrible. I mean, he can tell you that. There's something I'm saying that is not true. And we just wanted to have a company where guys can come. There's no politics. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. Put on great shows. And that's what we did. We went to West Virginia, right outside of Pennsylvania, and we started running shows down there because we didn't need a promoter license. The promoter license, there was no commission down there. The sanction West Virginia, and it was only like a half hour, 40 minutes from Pittsburgh. So we was getting Pittsburgh people to come over, fans, people from Ohio was coming over. So we was drawing good crowds down there. I think. I mean, the very first show we had down there was almost a sellout. So it was great. It was a great time. It was all due to Lord Zoltan, meeting him in 2007, 2008, and just introducing me to people. I remember going down to RWA and Wes Newton, and he introduced me to everybody. I met Dr. Philbath for the first time. I met Strider. I met Jay Wu. There's so many guys I met that first night. And then, like I said, I jumped into it. And that's okay because you got to start somewhere. You got to learn somewhere. So I got no regrets. I mean, wrestling's been a blessing to me. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, but no regrets. I mean, the people I have met in the wrestling business, guys like Tony Hansen, I mean, unbelievable guy, you know. It's just amazing stuff. It's 15 years now. Like I said, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but amazing times. I got so many crazy stories. I should write 2 books because I can fill them out. I was on the road in 2016, true story, on the road sleeping in the garage for like a whole summer from like March, May until like September. Often coming back to my house in Pittsburgh, going back on the road, and we was building a wrestling school out in my hometown area, and I didn't live there per se, so I didn't have a place to live there, and I didn't want to go bum somebody that came through on your couch. So I slept at the school. Me and my head trainer at the time, you remember Buzz Bloodsaw, Vaughn Smith's one trainee? He was down there training guys for me, getting people ready to go to wrestle. and we was going back and forth. I didn't make a lot of money that summer, but my God, the best stories that came out of that summer. That was probably one of my favorite years of pro wrestling, and it was a blast. That's something I would never forget. So I mean, wrestling has so many memories, so many people. I mean, you won't believe. And the best part about the wrestling business, my kids grew up with it. Like my kids, when I started with Tony, my kids was like 1 year old, 2 years old. Now they're 17 and 16. They grew up. They was on the road with me in the ring trucks. We've been West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Ohio, out east. I mean, they've been all over the place. And I always post pictures of my kids on my Facebook showing the other talent. Listen, my kids drove these miles, and they were like babies. And a lot of guys don't want to travel, and you got to travel in wrestling. It's just like comedy, music, movies, whatever you're doing, you got to travel to make your brand. You guys travel a lot. I see Tony all over the place. California. I mean, I see his pictures all the time. You got to build your brand, so you got to be out there on the road. So a lot of guys don't want to do it. So I always post my kids. Listen, these kids are like 3 years old, 4 years old, and they're in the ring truck. I remember pulling up at the school one time. They was probably in 4th and 5th grade or 3rd or 4th grade. I pull up in a ring truck. I didn't know he drove the ring truck that day, so I drove it. Yeah. I go into school and I say, my kids have a doctor's appointment, so I need to pick my kids up. And they look outside and see this 18-foot U-Haul truck. Like, okay. I was like, please don't ask me about the U-Haul truck. I know what else to say. Like, I didn't know what to do to get them out of the school. So they get out of school. Yeah, where we going? I said, we're going to wrestling tonight. It's Friday night. And okay, we got the ring and we just start going. It's crazy. But wrestling has, I mean, so many memories. I mean, it's crazy. It's a fun time. It really is. I can't see myself ever stopping. There's been times I took breaks. You get burnt out or whatever, but you always come back. It's my blood. I can't never get rid of it. I took a break for 6 months to a year. Next thing I know, I'm running like 10 shows. It's just something I would just never get out of my blood.
Dude, I purposely stay away because every time I go, I want to jump in the ring. Like last time I went to a local show out in Katanning, I believe, to see my buddy Blaze. He was debuting as an announcer. What's that? 2PW, yeah. So like just being around it again, it's like I feel like Tyrone Biggums from the Chappelle Show. I just start scratching and it's like it's just electric, you know what I mean? Just like the feeling of being there. It's like knowing that like, some of these paydays might be as little as $5 and you're breaking your back for them, but it's just like the joy of like being in front of a crowd and just doing what you love to do,
It's addictive. Once you're in it and you try to get out of it, it's so hard to get out of it because you're always thinking, what if? What if I do this? What if I do that? It is so hard. It is so hard. And like Tony said, the electricity on this small indie show, you might have 100 people there, 75 people, but the atmosphere of the fans cheering for you, and you're seeing, like me personally, as a promoter, seeing your hard work pay off. Like you put your heart and soul in the show, and you put everything into it, and then you have like 300 people show up, 400 people show up. That's amazing. Like we're nobodies. But these guys are trying to make it. There's other guys that's just on TV, not on TV, but they're trying to make it. And we got guys coming off TV that's been on the big shows, just want to wrestle now. They just want to go out and wrestle because they don't want to give it up. Like there's a lot of guys. Buff Bagwell. I mean, why would he be still doing indie shows? Gangrel. Them guys just want to wrestle. Gangrel won 100 miles per hour in that match. Like he was bumping and doing everything. Yeah. So I was like, man, this guy's crazy. Like, all the guys, most of the guys coming off TV, they don't want to give it up. They just want to keep doing it. And as credit to Tony, I mean, I give him a lot of credit. I mean, I don't know how you stay away, and I mean, I understand you going to shows. I know. I mean, I know. At one time, I'll tell you this, Michael, and this is the going on this truth. Tony had the potential to be the best big man in Pittsburgh ever, and that says a lot about Tony. I tell anybody that. I tell Tony this many times. I mean, he had the agility, the size, the skills. If he would not broke his back and had the injury he had to his back, there's no doubt in my mind he's probably going to be one of the best big men to ever come out of Pittsburgh. I mean, he had. That's I told you that a million times. You know what my favorite saying with Tony is? When he was in West Virginia. Ready for this, Tony? You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're going.
him and his tag team partner, that was called the Hanson Brothers. Tony's at ringside coming around the ring, heckling the fans. He's a bad guy. He's a heel. And he looks at this one guy. There's a married couple, a husband and wife. And the guy's going back at Tony. Tony said, I'm going to slap your wife and make you like it. The guy's like, I'm not going to like that. I wish we had that clip. That was golden. I got it somewhere.
That was the same night. That was the same night we had 300 plus people chanting "You're a butthole" at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say I've gone to, like the high school gymnasiums right over here. Buff Bagwell went to the same high school in the area where I'm at. He went to Sprayberry High School. He went to the same school that my kids did. He, Scott Steiner, Luke Gallows actually came and did a show at the high school for the football team to help raise some money or like that. So I've been to those shows, and I've been to the bigger shows where you've gone to the big arenas. And I tell you, the atmosphere is so much more, in my opinion, electric in the smaller shows because you're right there. And the interaction it is just so different when you go to that type of show than when you go to a giant arena and you're sitting what seems to be a mile and a half away versus, when you're 10 rows, from the ring and everything, and you're actually seeing it. You actually watch the guys and stuff like that. It was definitely a very different experience, going to a smaller, local show per se than the giant ones.
Absolutely. So Luke Gallows owns you're in Georgia, ain't you?
Yep.
You live in Georgia? Yeah. Luke Gallows has a company of South Georgia. He lives down there. And what he normally does down there, he's with Impact, or was with Impact. So he would get a lot of Impact guys coming to his shows, doing the fundraisers for you guys. Was Ace Austin down there with him at your show? Ace Austin?
I think he was. What was pretty cool is, so my son knew a couple of football players, and the football players were the security guards. And my son actually got to go back into the locker room where the wrestlers were, and Luke Gallows, he's like, come on. Luke Gallows actually brought him back there, and they were hanging around and stuff.
Yeah, Luke's a good guy. I know Luke personally. He's a really good guy. This guy says Blaze Radio, CJ Sensation. Yeah, we definitely, and DH Bruiser. You definitely know them, Tony, huh? CJ's a good guy.
I'll tell you what, CJ is one of the most underrated guys in the burg, in my opinion. I've chokeslammed a lot of people. Not one person has ever taken my chokeslam better than CJ Sensation. So major props to him. CJ is roughing now. He broke his neck 8 years ago, so he's one of the top referees. No,
yeah. he just recently started wrestling again. I saw. CJ worked for me many a times. I got nothing but good things to say about CJ. I mean, professional, knows his shit. I mean, there's a lot of guys you bring on the shows you got to worry about, But CJ is that one of the guys whatever. He's whatever you put him on, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it the best,
Absolutely. He's funny too, man. He's always a cut up in the locker room.
It's
nice to hear guys like that.
Oh my god, yeah. Especially because a lot of guys are nervous. Going. You guys think, that's only 100 fans, but a lot of these guys train, and they train for this moment. So they're going through the year of training, 2 years of training for this moment, and it's nerve-wracking. So having guys like CJ in the locker room, killing the ice and just taking everybody's easy, everybody's laughing, so nobody's stressed out. A lot of guys, the first couple matches, even the first 15 matches, they're scared shitless. They don't know what to do. So having CJ in the locker room, calming everybody down and everybody's laughing, having fun, it's a great thing,
Absolutely.
So as a promoter who put on live events, how did you deal with the pandemic?
So during the pandemic, we didn't do nothing. And I'll tell you why. There's a lot of companies was trying to run indoor garage shows, no fans, no nothing. This the wrestlers. The state of Pennsylvania made it very hard for promoters to run shows. I'm just going to say it. We have a state athletic commission guy, Greg Silbs, is an effing a-hole. And for whatever reason, He's a boxer guy. He came from the boxing background. So for whatever reason, he has a hard on for pro wrestling. And this guy's like 75 years old and he's still in office. For whatever reason, he's still there. And you call him up any day of the week, he answers his phone, and this is how he is. And he just really he hates wrestling. And any pro wrestling fan in PA or pro wrestlers in PA is on this chat room tonight, they would probably agree with me. And so it was very hard to do the pandemic stuff. So I didn't do anything. There was some guys doing garage shows with no fans, and there was video in it on Facebook for fans to watch it. And there was stuff other companies were doing. Well, they would shine a stream and sell the video to fans. I don't know how that worked out. I just thought that was I'm not going to say a waste of money or waste of time. I didn't think it was feasible for anybody involved. So, I mean, fans on this level, they want to come to the live show and actually see the wrestling up close and interact with the fans, meet the wrestlers, all that. So I didn't think the video stuff would be feasible. If some company did well with it, hey, my loss. But I just think on my end, I rent a garage, a car garage, or an empty gymnasium, and going through all the protocols. You have to have the wrestlers had to have what they say. What did I say? Anthony got a big surprise for you. Okay, a lot of the wrestlers had to be tested. They had to be tested. You had to submit the test down to the state commission. We had to wipe the ring down, clean the ring. You had to do there's like 50 things before one match can happen. Then when that match was over, you had to clean the ring again and do all the things again, all over again.
Oh wow!
And then have the second match, and then the third match happens. You had to clean the ring again, like the ropes, the turnbuckle pads. It was just so much going on. So you would have to have a team dedicated to that only. And then eventually they open up where you can do shows outside in the backyard or in a field. So that opening up, but you had to have people spaced out, like fans, like 20 feet apart or 8 feet apart, something like that. It was just nonsense, a lot of nonsense, which I understand because the pandemic was very serious and we lost a lot of people and we'll never get them people back. So I get it. So I just took my time and I just relaxed and watched shows online. I was watching other people do shows. I mean, I give them all the credit, because they wanted to keep going. And a lot of the wrestlers didn't want to sit home, but there was no money being made. They was doing it for free because there was no money coming in. I mean, right. And if they sold some videos online, then maybe they got paid. But if some of the shows are just totally free on Facebook, they're just running shows. Like Cato was up there in Altoona doing shows like this on video, like on Facebook, just to have some of his students some practice to give fans something to watch. It was a tough time. Definitely was a tough time for everybody.
I would be like really curious to know how some of the guys, like active wrestlers, like felt in the COVID era, like wrestling in front of no fans. Because for me, like I was not a big practice guy. I was more of like a game guy. Like, not to say that I wasn't into like practice, going through training, all of that stuff, but like it had a completely different feeling than actually being in front of a crowd. Like, even if like I was practicing between like 3 or 4 people sitting on the side watching, like even that felt better than just an empty room, like with just me, another guy, and a trainer. You know what I mean? Like, so I can imagine during like COVID things, it's just like, man, it's you, the other guy, a referee, and a cameraman, and that's like literally nobody else. Like, because for me as like a performer, like I feed off of the crowd. Like it's 100% like, and then if you're like laying a dud without the crowd reacting, like you have really no way to like revert that match, like, because that's really how how well what you're doing is getting over, is based on how the crowd reacts. The feel of the crowd. Man, that would have just been really difficult. Like I couldn't even imagine.
Well, that's when you think about when we were watching, Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that with nobody there, and how weird it was. Just how eerily quiet it was. You don't gotta say something. You know what would suck for Dom when it comes to wrestling? He can't use a sock. He'd have to talk to Mankind and see if he could use a sock.
I was just reading that.
I mean, because Dom, you can't steal Mankind's move. You'd have to get approval from Mankind to use Socko, Dom. Just remember that. You don't get to just bring a sock to the ring, Dom. You have to go through protocol. You're using somebody's finisher.
Yeah. Surprisingly, most wrestlers that aren't barefooted probably wear socks, I would imagine. Like, I know myself personally, under my boots, I would wear, like, no joke, game-worn Cordell Stewart socks, because Cordell was, like, my guy growing up, and I was a ball boy whenever I was in high school. So, like, I actually had a pair of his, like, actual game-used, like, that almost my entire career, I rocked Cordell Stewart socks under my boots.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
I might still have them. They literally have holes all through them now, but they're Cordell Stewart socks. I kept them.
I mean, as more of a professional question, hey, Joe, is the apron the hardest part of the ring, like they say?
I think so. I was. There's no give on the outside apron, because when you rip that apart, the beams are in the middle, the flex beams, and then the wood on the apron. Tony could probably test this more than I could. It's all wood. It's all steel. There's no flex. All the flex is in the middle, in the middle of the ring. Everything else on the apron is more like a straight steel or wood. I definitely will not want to take a backdrop or a power driver out there. Some guys.
I still have a notch in my shin from the side of one of PWX's rings, because I was taking a bump over the top rope, and like my shin came down and like smacked like the side of the apron.
Yeah.
Oh my god, man! It was
There's
like
no give on that side. There's definitely no give. That's very, very dangerous to do anything outside. I tell my guys all the time, please do not do that. Please do not do that. It's dangerous. I have a doctor on my shows. I definitely wouldn't see nobody getting really injured and putting somebody in the hospital. I think steel may.
Well, that's true, Blaze. If you want to get technical,
very true.
I guess a steel post would be a little more
although typically most guys don't have to bump. I mean, outside of like taking a face bump where it's basically your hands are protecting you for the most part. Like, whereas you're coming down like on the side, it's very hard to really properly protect yourself because there's not very much padding there.
No, not at all. It's all wood and steel. Like I said, it's all the padding, the flex beams of wood is all in the middle basically, and all you really have on the side there is wood and steel, if that. It's more steel than wood, to be honest with you. You got very little wood out there even to bump on. Going back to the pandemic, I wanted to say is, now imagine going to get tested and sending that test to the state for the state to approve that you to be there for no money. For no money, just to wrestle, just to have somebody wrestling, and show up and there was no fans. I mean, you had to really miss what you was doing during the pandemic to go through all the procedures just to be able to be there. And I speak volumes to all the talent, honestly. But wrestling,
you're definitely doing it for love. That's for damn sure.
At that point, yeah. At that point, I mean, even when you have regular shows, as Tony knows, it's basically you're putting on. You're putting your body on the line for very little money, because sometimes the show don't produce that much money. So it's basically on this level. You're trying to get to the national TV companies, and that's in the United States that would be AEW, WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor. That's where the money's at, because they got TV money. That's what it comes down to. They got guaranteed TV money. I was reading online 2 days ago. WWE gets $75.8 million for SmackDown, something crazy like that, and then Raw gets like $100 million or something like that for Raw. So they're getting 175 guaranteed before any tickets are sold, before any merchandise is sold, before any sponsors are bought. They're getting that kind of money up front. So that's where the money's at. And I tell my guys all the time, keep your head down, keep working, keep your nose clean. Don't go to shows acting like idiots, because you never know who's in the crowd. Because they do send scouts out. And when companies book Mark Henry, Big Show, Ric Flair, whoever, and they're still got connections to Vince McMahon and Triple H, they're going to go back there and say, hey, I saw a guy on Saturday night. He's young. He's a stud. He can do this. He looks like $1 million. I got his information. You might want to try to get somebody to contact him and see just to talk to him. And that's how the ball gets rolling. You know, I had guys, Ace Austin used to wrestle for me. And he was 18 coming out of the Raw Samoans training camp in Allentown. And he was, I knew he was going to sign. He looked like $1 million at 18. He was ripped and shaped. And he in about 2 years, he was on Impact. And he never looked back. I mean, that guy was $1 million. Who else was on there? Cole Carter in AEW. I know you guys see Cole Carter. He was wrestling for me in West Virginia about 2 years ago, right after the pandemic. And I knew he was in the sign. He looks like a model. I mean, I'm not gay or nothing. I got nothing to point no gay people, but he's just a beautiful guy. I mean, good-looking guy, in shape, can wrestle.
I get that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he was going to sign. So I mean, these guys that when you work with them, you can just tell they have tons of potential. And then the guys you want to coach. You know what I mean? Then the guys you want to sit down with and say, hey, I know for a fact if you keep your head on straight and don't get in any dumb stuff, somebody's going to sign you. And so, I mean, there's been guys, I mean, and Tony can attest to this. I mean, Tony, SJK down at PWX, he's on WWE every Monday night announcing. I mean, commentator. So, yeah, Corey Grace came out of the Pittsburgh, and he was automatically, you could tell he had all the skills to do it. Oh, yeah. And he's been with WWE for how many years now? I mean,
so that guy was like a rock star when I was going through training.
Yeah. I mean, you can just tell. I mean, I think back then when he had his long hair, he looked kind of like Edge. So I think that's why they took him back then. But when he cut his hair and got his like a shaved head and had the short hair, that's when they picked him up. So I think that's why they didn't pick him up when he had the long hair, which is okay. But he had potential. I mean, that guy's. I mean, he lives in Pittsburgh still, so I mean, he never forgot where he came from. And actually, Carmella is his wife. They live in the north side. Yes. I mean, good guys, good people. Nothing but good things to say about the whole family. I mean, it's there. I mean, it's crazy when you see guys.
Speaking of TV contracts and TV money and stuff like that, I noticed that your next show coming up is going to be on My TV. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up, Tony. So basically, I've been wanting to do TV. Yes. So on my level, TV contracts doesn't really happen all the time. And me being the sponge of trying to get all the knowledge I can about wrestling. I still learn tons of stuff from wrestling in 15 years. I talked to a couple of people inside the wrestling business or what do you want to call it? What did I say? So basically, what I found out, I learned on all level. The sponsorships money will come in a lot faster when you can provide TV coverage for them, basically. And I always wanted to do TV. And so when I contacted Fox 56 in Northeast PA, and I said to them, I want to do some kind of TV show. I said, this is the first time I've ever done TV. I did wrestling for 15 years. Just one and a half shows and I did some streaming stuff with Fight TV about 3 years ago. We did streaming pay-per-views, which that was good. We did okay with it. The manager at that TV station at Fox 56 lit up. He was like, "Well, we used to have Ring of Honor on our channel, but they got sold to AEW, and the contract through what's it called, Sinclair was never renewed. So a lot of the stations have like no wrestling they wanted, the local stations. So we got to talking, and one thing led to another. He gave me an hour time slot every Saturday night at 11 o'clock. Now, you might say it's Saturday night, 11 o'clock. There's a lot of companies that small companies start out with TV. They're like 4 o'clock in the morning. Right. So this guy really wanted to help me. So we had some matches taped for TV last show and 3 weeks ago, but this show coming up, it's really going to be a TV tape, and we're going to put our best foot forward and do it right. And the sponsors are coming in left and right. I mean, I was shocked. The other day I was on the road Monday getting sponsorships and stuff, and the guys that have advised me about the TV and stuff completely was 100% right. In his business, you almost have to have sponsorships to make it work. Because like I said, it's tough. It's like any kind of sports you can think of, MMA, boxing, Major League Sports, they all have sponsors. Yeah. Without the sponsors, it wouldn't happen. It would be a complete failure. But I'm excited for the TV. It's going to be a weekly TV show on my TV. And it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on a YouTube channel. So if anybody out there don't live in Northeast PA, you can watch it on YouTube too. It's going to be on YouTube. So I wanted to have it so people could watch it that wasn't in the area. NWA taught me that. NWA,
I was going to recommend that, like the NWA Power, man. Like I just really love the vibe that they did, and then they like televised it over YouTube.
Yeah,
so even if you have a show, it could very easily just be uploaded and shared to more people that aren't in your viewing range.
Yep. So NWA taught me that. I watched NWA come back 2-3 years ago and built their fan base basically on YouTube. They don't do house shows. They don't do anything. They do some pay-per-views, streaming pay-per-views.
Yeah.
It's like I was doing 2 years ago. They're on Fight too. So basically, I learned from them. And Black G's is a contracted wrestler with NWA. He's one of my good friends. He's from Philadelphia. And he was just telling me everything. He's like, dude, you can do this. He said, this is what you can be doing. And so I definitely I'm gonna be on the YouTube channel once shows start being aired and stuff. Right now, our coverage area, we have over 600,000 homes. I mean, to be a small company like mine, to be in over 500,000 homes starting out, that's huge. That's huge.
Really big.
Yeah.
And now, awesome. And then that station, WQ My TV, the Fox 56 affiliate, hooked me up with the affiliate channel in Philadelphia. So I began to talk to him. He's talking about putting us on in September in Philadelphia area. And their coverage area is like over 3 million people.
That's awesome.
So if you think about it, we're going to have 3,600,000 homes in September if it all goes well, which I think 100% it will. That's big. I mean,
we all know that Philly's a huge wrestling town too. Like they'll support the hell out of you there.
Yeah. So, that's alone will set us in a different atmosphere. Because a lot of the local companies are not doing TV. All the local companies in Pennsylvania, they're either doing streaming pay-per-views or they're doing monthly shows, and that's all they're doing. They're not going the TV route. And I thought, and we all know that there's a lot of wrestling everywhere. So,
absolutely.
I thought, why don't I go this route? Nobody else is doing it. So why don't I be in the forefront and jump on it before somebody else figures this out? They're probably listening to this now. And tomorrow morning, they're going to announce a TV show somewhere. But it's okay. At least I did it first. And they do it, that's fine,
Yeah.
But I got guys. All my guys are excited about it. I mean, a lot of the guys got 2 years, 3 years in. They think it's like some of them guys are probably not going to make it on TV. I'm not going to say they're not. That's up to them how they work, how hard they work. But some of the guys, I would say it would be very hard for them to make it on TV. So me having TV is like their dream. Like they wanted to be on TV. And for whatever reason, they're not going to make WWE. They're not making AEW. This is not. I'm honest with my guys. If I feel like it's going to be you probably can make it, but it's going to be a hard road to make it. It's going to be like a lot of work. And there's some guys like Ace Austin. I knew it right away. It was going to take him a year. As soon as they see him, he's going to be gone. Cole Carter, gone. Warlord, gone. Britt Baker, gone. They're the kind of guys you can just tell by looking at them. They're like, these guys if somebody sees him from them companies, they're going to take him. And so the guys that can't make it is going to have a long road to make it. Them the guys appreciated what I'm doing with the TV. Them the guys are like, we'll do anything to help you get this off the ground. And you need that as a small company. As a small company, you need all the help and support trying to pull that off because, I mean, even a show with 100 people is massive. I mean, Tony promoted shows with me. Like it takes every little bit out of you coming up to that show. And I always say, how does Vince McMahon pull off that big company and big production, and he's all over the place? He has to have thousands and thousands of helpers because there's no way. I mean, it's unbelievable what he pulls off. I went to some of his events just to check them out, like Monday Night Raw and house shows, to see what they were doing and see how they were setting stuff up. I mean, the ring crew alone was like 40 people. I was like, we can't get 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we're using trainees.
yeah. They have a set crew that's doing the doing the thing with like 40 people. I'm like, these guys are crazy. And between matches and TV, they're changing the canvas. You know, the canvas on the TV looks so clean. They have like 5 canvases on the ring. And every 2 or 3 matches, they're taking the canvas off, doing a commercial break, and there's a brand new canvas there. So I'm like, man, they got it made out, man. We got trainees. We're getting people off the street to come in. Hey, you want to come watch a wrestling show? Come to help us with crew. We'll give you a free ticket. I mean,
there you
go.
The people do it because some guys don't have the money to buy the ticket, but they want to go to see the wrestling. So we're like, hey, you know that, Tony. Hey, you want to go see the wrestling?
Yep.
Come help us with ring crew, and you guys got a ticket. I mean, not a big deal.
Absolutely.
But
you'll find loyal people that way, just giving them free tickets to come in the show, you know?
Oh, my God, yeah, definitely. You'll find guys, like the trainees that are just training that wants to be a part of the show.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, when they're training, that's how you break into the companies. I mean, honest to God, if I was a trainee, I always tell the guys, if you're training for wrestling, go show your face in other companies. Hey, my name is Joe, and I'm down here training, but I'd love to come help you any way I can. Because when you're ready, that promoter, if that promoter is a good promoter, when you're ready to wrestle, as Tony can tell you, they're gonna use you because you came and helped them. What did I say?
Philly loves wrestling, so does Pittsburgh. Can we get an in-ring return? Former NWA
I've been trying. I was like, dude, you gotta take no bumps.
I'll tell you what, I actually told my girlfriend, like, if I was in town more, I would totally come back and like help you run the company and like, because dude, I love being around it. Like, it's like just going and seeing Blaze do his thing was like intoxicating to me. You know, I would love to find a young kid that has like a lot of talent, like I used to, and just kind of come alongside him, coach him, and just kind of like be a manager to him. You know,
I mean,
I can still be a Jagoff.
Oh my God, definitely manager, a commissioner. When you got injured in West Virginia, we had you a commissioner a couple of shows. Remember?
Yeah.
When you came up with Von Smith. Yeah, so you could be a commissioner, a manager. Definitely, I can see that. Hey, you just say the word, my friend. You ain't got to say the word. Just show up. Just come in with I'm ready. That's all you got to do. I mean, it's.
You got to get enough. You have to get a tag team.
Still, just thinking about
it. Anthony, you have to become a manager of a tag team called the Young Hansons.
The Young. It could be your guys' cousins. It could be your cousins.
Yeah.
Like, maybe your sister said they want to be your wrestling. They grew up watching you guys. I mean, I'm telling you, Tony, anytime, you ain't got to tell me. You just show up. I don't care what show it is. You just show up and says, I'm back. That's all you got to do. I mean, and you know, the guys in West Virginia, like Missile. And
look at that, Joe. You just sold 100 tickets if I come back, man.
Hey,
Mark says he'll buy and give away 100 tickets to the show.
What's this guy from? I want to know where he's from because we're going to go to town.
He's actually the promoter of the Pittsburgh card show, which actually, let me give them a quick plug. We actually have a show this Saturday coming up. Tons of Pitt Panthers going to be there signing autographs. 325 plus tables. So Yeah, it's going to be big, man. They rented out the Washington Crown Center and literally the entire mall. Like, I shared a video on my Facebook of Mark showing off all the tables. It's like literally the entire place is going to be the card show. So
look at the lady fella's comment.
Tell Mark, if he ever wants to run a wrestling show at his convention, hit me up. I definitely would help him put a wrestling show on during his convention. If he's ever interested in doing that, if he's on here listening still.
Yeah,
we'll bring
Tony does a bunch of autograph guests and stuff too for his show. So like, I'd imagine you two could probably collaborate on some pretty cool stuff for.
Oh, for sure. And I know everybody. I know everybody. I mean, there's not one person that if I don't know him, I can contact him. I mean, it's Hulk Hogan. I mean, Ric Flair. I mean, Ricky Steamboat, Kevin Nash. Yep. The list just goes on and on and on. Yep. Call show wrestling. I'm loving it. I'm telling you. And we'll bring back Tony Hansen for one night only.
I'll even bust out the spandex. It might be a little baggy on me now, though. I still got enough rolls to fill it.
It won't be one night only because if the first time he comes back, it'll be it. He'll never leave.
Sounds like
that, or I'll go out like Randy the Ram at the end of the match.
That sounds like something for the October. That sounds like something for the October show.
Yes,
quite possibly.
So man, there's a lot of great things coming up. There's some TV's happening. I'm actually hoping once I get TV launched and going, that I can expand the TV more and more. As sponsorships are coming in, I'm going to be able to get more markets and more TV markets. That's just going to help the product. It's more going to help the wrestlers than me. I mean, it's going to be my company. Yes, it's going to bring a lot of opportunities to us. But I'd rather give the talent that work their butts off and train, they live their dream. Even if they don't make a WWE, they still – and here's the thing, too. I'll say this. I tell the guys this all the time. This is TV experience. So when you go to WWE and they give you a tryout and they talk to you, you can tell them, I was on 5-Star Wrestling. They had local TV. So I kind of have a knowledge of how to work the cameras. I know how to talk into the cameras. I know what to look for because the Fox 56 guys, they came down and they talked to us about doing this. So I know I got to make sure my face is on camera when I'm on a promo. I know when I'm coming out to the ring to put my face in the camera, that kind of stuff. So they will have an idea what to do already. So that would give them a little step ahead of guys that never worked on any kind of local TV. You know, them guys, because it takes a minute to get yourself ready for TV, especially with WWE, because they look for stuff and want you to do stuff a certain way. And if you look at Raw or SmackDown, even AEW, the wrestlers are always looking into the camera. Always. I don't care if it's promos coming down to the ring. They always put their face in the camera. And that's just something they do. So so they will have that experience. So I'm really blessed and happy to have this opportunity to give some of the young guys an opportunity to do it. Like Bischoff was in my locker room and I told him Ben told him what I was doing, and he was telling the guys, when you do the promos, make sure you look at the hall cam. Do not shy away from the hall cam. If you're coming down to the ring, make sure you're talking into the camera. Make sure that they see your face because that's what House TV is. So he was great. So I mean, I'm just happy with the TV thing. Really am.
Yeah.
So Joe, when you're booking and then you're looking at a match, what criteria do you use to put two guys together in the ring?
That's a good question. There's all kinds of ways to book a match. A lot of my guys, here's what I look for in talent these days. I look for guys that are in shape, athletic. They could do it because today's wrestling, everybody's doing moonsaults, super kicks. They're going crazy in the ring. And I look for guys like Tony. Tony was a big dude. Tony's probably like 6'4", 6'3". He was like 300-400, so he was a big deal. So I look for larger-than-life guys, too. Like I got two guys right now that is over 7 foot tall. So that kind of stuff attracts me. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that attracts me. Then I got cruiserweights. A guy named Chris Slade. He's probably 180 soaking wet. 5'9", maybe 10. But the guy is effing believable. Like he could do all the moves, like all the cruiserweight stuff, high flying stuff. I mean, if you look him up on YouTube, Chris Slade, he is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I would take Chris Slade in a heartbeat. He's so unbelievable. The only problem, I told him this already. The only problem, he's just too small to make it to a bigger company. If he put on weight and did whatever, he's cut and all that. He just needs to gain more weight. And I definitely believe that he could be on an Impact or a Ring of Honor. No question about it. Just because his movesets and the ring is it's unbelievable how he flies. I mean, stuff he's doing is just out of this crazy world. Like landing on his feet, doing 360s, landing on his feet. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. And I look for guys in shape. I look for guys that are larger than life, 7 foot tall, big guys that you never see around. I look for guys that have a good training school. I look for females the same way. If they're in shape, they train at a good school. If they wrestle a lot of matches, I'll give anybody a chance. Don't get me wrong. I'll give guys that just came out of school a chance. If they're working hard and they're willing to help out with the company, I got no problem helping anybody out.
But will you take that new guy and put him with a more experienced guy to kind of
100%,
help him?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Here's the deal. That's the ideal of things. You want a veteran in your company. Say Tony Hansen. He was wrestling. He has probably a good 5 years, 8 years into wrestling, right? So the new guy coming in, you want a guy like Tony to lead him in the matches, to call the matches, to say where to be at certain times. Because if you don't have that guy leading you around the ring in the match, it's gonna be a clusterfuck. It's gonna be sloppy. Them guys, and it's not against them guys. They're just new. They're just new. You can go in the back and call 100 spots and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. But you get in that ring, you might forget everything because you're new. You're not ready for it. So you need that veteran to kill these guys. Hey, go over here to the corner. Hey, we're at spot 1. Some of the guys forget the spots. You get 5 spots in matches. They're at spot 3, and you still at spot 1. So you need a guy like a veteran guy to slow everything down and give them guys time to do it. A lot of them guys want to go 100 miles per hour because they're so nervous. They just want to do everything, and it's a clusterfuck. So you definitely want to have a veteran, want a new guy if you can. If you're at a show, the veteran car broke down 100 miles away, he can't make it because his engine blew. You're gonna have to figure something out. Maybe put the new kid in a 3-bay, just to protect him, or do a 6-man. Put the new kids with a tag team and do a 6-man tag so they're not overexposed. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to protect the kid.
Oh, wow.
But definitely with a veteran, you have to. There's no way. I mean, Tony can tell you that.
Oh, my God. I think the reason I was as good as I was literally because I worked with Crusher every single night. Like, whenever I first started in training, like, I might have been training for 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, whenever he plugged me into his Camp Crusher gimmick, which was basically like I was his bodyguard. And I guess because we look so much alike in the face, everybody just naturally thought I was his brother. And like out of that, just like birthed the whole gimmick. So like, just like Joe was saying, like pairing somebody with like a veteran, like early on, like my first match, like, I mean, most guys like coming through like the PWX ranks have Mad Mike as like their first match, not only because he's like a veteran who like basically knows like everything, but because he'll beat the piss out of you your first match and make sure that you're humble. So like, but just like Joe said, like my first match, like I had no idea what the hell I was doing, even though I was a professionally trained wrestler. You know what I mean? Like I had done the practice matches that I had already said during this interview that I did not like that very much. But like, I remember literally doing the same exact move on him like 3 times in a row when he was down on the apron. And he literally said, "What the hell are you doing, man?" And I was like, oh yeah, I should probably switch it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I kept going right back to like, I'm just going to, step on your throat with my foot, because it was like in the moment in front of the crowd, it was like deer in headlights. Like you just forget.
Yeah.
So that's whenever you got like the tag team partner in the corner, like Crusher says, hey man, what the hell are you doing? Come over here, get a tag. You know what I mean? Let them nerves get out of you. You know what I mean? Get out of the ring, go around, mess with the crowd a little bit. That's how you catch your breath, because for somebody my size, like I debuted at 340, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like keeping my breath was not an easy task through like a 10-15 minute match. Luckily I was in a tag team the majority of my career, and I could tag out, or I was a heel a lot of times, and I could just literally go out and just mess with the crowd during the match and just like heal up on people, which was phenomenal. But yeah, I mean that's a great point, Joe, that like it is good to lead the young guys along with some vets. Mark was asking about potentially getting some flyers for your next show at his show this Saturday. He's expecting thousands of people to be there, so if you're able to get me flyers, I'll put them at my booth for you.
I definitely will. I'll link up with you this week. I got tons. Yeah, I got tons. I definitely link up with you this week, and we can do that. That's not even a problem.
Cool. Yeah. So then also the next TV taping, Mark was asking, is July 1st, 2023. It's going to be out in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the Fire Tree Center. And the big guest coming out for that one is none other than Big Quiche, Rikishi himself, father of the Usos. And I would say a Pennsylvania wrestling legend, Samu, man, like, over with the Wild Samoans, man, like he is definitely somebody that's been around this circuit quite a bit over the years. So that should be a hell of a match.
Here's a fun fact. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
So Samu is the one that trained Ace Austin, we was talking about earlier. He actually trained Ace Austin. Here's another fun fact. In the mid-'90s, early 90s, there was a tag team was called the Head Shrinkers. It was a playoff from the Wild Samoans in the 70s, 80s. Well, the two guys are looking at, Rikishi and Samu, was the Head Shrinkers.
Yeah.
So if you go back and look at the videos, Rikishi was not smaller, but he was smaller than what he was when he had his single career. Yeah. So I got a sponsor that wanted to bring them guys in. Hey, I'm for it, but Rikishi was, like I said, the head shrinker was Samu, and Captain Lou Albano, I believe that was their manager back then. Captain Lou, and who else was there? Was somebody else with them, I think. Alpha Senior was with them too. So it was them four in that group. But and then Rikishi went on to be a single wrestler, and he hit stardom. And Samu did some stuff in ECW and WCW. But like Tony said, he was a big icon in Pennsylvania. I mean, he wrestled all over PA, and he actually was in Pittsburgh a lot. I mean, he helped PWX a lot in the early days, getting guys and getting stuff going for them guys. So Samu has a long legacy throughout the state. I mean, he was on TV. Now, he actually wrestled Andre the Giant when he was 18. But he has Samu and Rikishi, the Head Shrinkers, Kishi's single career, Samu's ECW stuff, WCW stuff. So, I mean, those two definitely big names are coming to the show. So I'm greatly appreciative of the sponsor helping us out and bringing them in,
Yeah, that's amazing, man. So, yeah, the next show is called Ignition. Anybody that wants to follow 5-Star Wrestling, here's the social medias right here. It's just 5-Star Wrestling 1 across the board, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Website, I believe, is still under development, but that will be 5starwrestling.net. Joe, if that's incorrect, you can probably correct me.
No, that's correct. I got a guy working on the website. Hopefully it'll be done in the next couple of weeks. As you know, the website can be a pain in the butt. I got a guy helping us out with the website, so I give him time. That's a pain. That's not my category. Does he think Rikishi was signed? What was he signed?
Autographs at your show.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's gonna be a special meet and greet. The doors open at 5:30 actually for Samu and Rikishi meet and greet, and they're gonna be there signing autographs. All my names that I bring to the shows or have sponsors bring to the shows always do a meet and greet at the shows before they wrestle or anything. Pictures, autographs.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. Fans are coming in to meet the guys because when you're at WWE, you're not meeting these guys. I'm sorry. As you said, Michael, you're in this big venue, and you're lucky to see them. You're lucky to see them come out and wrestle. So, you're not going to meet the guys. So these shows I do with the names, they're definitely going to be out signing autographs, taking pictures, talking to you guys. You got any questions about their career and stuff like that. So definitely they would be there.
Yeah, it's July 1st, John. And that's the great thing about indie wrestling. Like for the real diehard wrestling fans that literally like live and breathe for indie wrestling, like in between intermission, like at least all the faces typically come out at a lot of the shows and will, sign for free, take pictures, get to actually meet all of the people. And then after the show, even the heels come out and, can actually go and like interact with people, which is really cool.
Right, 100%. That's a good thing about indie wrestling shows. You actually get to meet the talent, and you get to know them. If we're running a town 6 months out of the year, 9 times out of 10, during the intermission, fans and the wrestlers are going to interact, and they're going to get to know each other. And they get behind you, and they're investing in the talent, investing in the companies. So I 100% agree with these kind of shows are the best way to go. I'm not saying not to go support WWE or AEW because they put on phenomenal shows, productions. But the reality is, if you want to meet wrestlers and you want to get behind a company, the independence is where you want to be at. It's just a great time because you're seeing guys coming up through the ranks that you will see these guys on TV. In 2 to 3 years, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I just saw that guy wrestle the last 2 years. I know everything about him. I actually know the guy because I talked to him for the last 2 years every month, like at least once a month. And now he's on TV. So it's a great fans. It's a great thing for independent wrestling. And it's always getting bigger. Wrestling goes up and down, up and down, up and down. But right now, I think we're in the boom period. And I say that because of AEW, Ring of Honor. They're starting to come back up. WWE is always going to be on top. But there's a lot of great wrestling going on right now at all different levels, and I think we're in the boom period. That it's a great thing,
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Michael, do you have any last second questions for Joe before we let him go? It's getting a little late. We've been going a little over an hour.
So I'm just about I guess it's a 2-part thing. So, number one would be, over the 15 years that you've been doing this, have you seen, more women get involved and want to be in the ring rather than, valets? And
yes.
Number 2 is there still a want for little people wrestling?
Like midgets?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to say that. I was hoping that's what you meant. I didn't want to. I was trying to say it because these days and ages, you don't want to say anything that you shouldn't say. So I was hoping you meant.
I think some places still bill it as M-word wrestling. So I don't know.
Micro, they probably use micro now.
Okay.
Micro wrestlers.
I did see that too. So first question, the woman wrestling. I think in the last 10 to 5 years, women wrestling has exploded. Now we got female wrestlers that are probably 10 times better than the guys. And that's just the truth. If you look on TV, you have Charlotte Flair. Phenomenal.
Yep.
And she would have never wrestled if her brother didn't die. If her brother Reed didn't die, she would have never been in wrestling. She came and got involved in wrestling to honor her brother, to take his legacy and keep it going. She said it many a times. She was never going to get involved in wrestling. That was not her MO. And Reed died, unfortunately, to an overdose addiction. And she told herself that she wanted to carry on her brother Reed, which was, think about that. We would never saw Charlotte Flair in the ring. So, a good thing came out of that. Unfortunately, he passed, but then we got Bailey. We got so many. Asuka. What's the other one name? What's the champion down there? Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Bianca. Bianca. So there's so many female wrestlers that is on TV. Oh, in the Independence. Tessa Blanchard in Independence. There's so many female wrestlers that are 10 times better than the guys. And for whatever reason, they're showing now that they can be their own superstar. See, back in the 80s and 70s, there was a kind of like the shy show. You put them on for 5 minutes. They go in the ring, pull each other's hair, kick each other a couple of times, and the match will be over. Or in the early 90s, there was more of a sex object. They rip each other's clothes off. But now they'll get to be able to shine and show their athleticism and their talent, which I think is awesome. I got 3 kids of my own, and they're all daughters. So I applaud people giving these girls a chance. They only needed a chance. That's all they needed. They needed one chance to go out there and show them what they could do, because they always had the talent. They always had the talent. They just never had the chance to actually have the match. If you talk to a lot of the female talent that wrestled in the 80s and the 90s, even the early 2000s, they always tell you, like, we just never had a chance. We never had a chance to really show what we could do, because we was told, go out there in 6 minutes, do this, do that, and that's it. Go out there and be a filler match. We call it a popcorn match, because people are intermission, getting food, drinks, whatever. We just need a match to keep the show going, and go out there and do that, because they was looked at as a sideshow, a clown show, you know. So I mean, I am so happy that the females have actually got a chance. Now on the independents, I believe the independents was giving female talent an opportunity before the TV did. I believe that. I mean, I saw a lot of companies back in the day giving female talents an opportunity to showcase what they could do. But it just seemed like, it just seems like as they got to TV, there was managers, backstage coordinators, whatever, commentators, never really got a chance to showcase. But so I'm 100% happy for it. As for the midgets, micro wrestlers, small guys, whatever you want to call them. I don't want to offend nobody, but that seemed to phase out, and they still have companies that focus only on that kind of wrestling. For whatever reason, there's still talent out there, but they're not as part of wrestling as they once was in the 80s, 70s, with King Kong Bundy fighting 3 of them at WrestleMania. And then biting the guy's legs and then biting the referee. That's funny stuff. It's entertainment, but you don't see it no more. Even the managers, like wrestling managers, you might have 2 or 3 that are on TV. But look at the 80s and 70s. Every match had a manager. I mean, every match you had Bobby Heenan, you had Slip, Jimmy Hart, you had Gary Hart. I mean, you had all these managers. Yeah. Now you might got Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is absolutely one of the best ever, but you don't have many managers either. So, but like I said, the managers and then the small guys, they'll I think of a pass unless you get a company that's coming through that focuses on the small guys, the small talent, you know, and they're still out there. They tend to do like ball and clubs, like a club or a ball that wants a small man show. They will contact them and say, hey, can you bring us a show? It's basically a paid show. It's like a band. You book a band at a bar and club. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you take the tickets up the door and you keep that. And you pay the guys for coming in. That's basically what they do now. So the midget, maybe small man guys in pro wrestling, like on TV, or even on the independents. You don't see no small guys on the independents either. I mean, they're hardly anywheres. And so, I mean, I miss that. I really do. And here's the thing. I probably could book some, but a lot of them guys are contracted with microbrewer. Like you just mentioned earlier, microbrewer. So that owner or that company, or whatever you want to call it, might contract them for a year or 2. And then what they would do, they would get dates throughout the clubs and bars and restaurants, whatever you want to call it. They would book them up like a band. And basically they go around, and to be honest with you, they're like a sideshow. And I hate to say that, you know? They're more of a sideshow than and then a pro wrestling show. So, as far as the managers, that's another lost art. Managers back in the day helped a lot of guys. I got guys right now on my roster that I know for sure could use a manager because they can't talk. The promo skills suck. And it's nothing against them. Some people can talk, some people can't. They're, and they're shy. The personality is not out yet. So I know a lot of guys can use a manager. But that's a lost art. I mean, you hardly ever see managers anywhere these days. I mean, it is what it is. And let's say Paul Heyman is still there. He's still doing it. But, I mean, outside of Paul Heyman, think about it. Who else is a manager that you can think of that, oh, my God, I know that guy's manager. It's hardly anybody. I mean, you have a guy come out with somebody every so often, but he's not a manager. He's more like a guy like Omos. Remember Omos was coming out with AJ?
Yep.
Well, Omos was green. And green means they're not ready to wrestle. So how to get them on TV, how to get around the matches, you would have them come out with somebody as a bodyguard for a couple months, a year to get them ready to wrestle. But you want him on TV because he's a big dude. You want to get him some TV experience the way he's training, so when he's ready, he can come out and wrestle himself, and he don't have to worry about having somebody carrying him along. But like I said, the lost art in little people and manager is a shame. But it is what it is. I mean, it's a lost art. But I'm very proud of the females. So proud of the females getting a chance to showcase themselves because they always had talent. I'm sorry. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. Like these girls are wrestling now on TV. You tell me the girls in the 80s and 70s, in the early 90s, even in the whole 90s, that they didn't have talent? To me, I don't believe that. They always had the talent. They just never had who's Joe's favorite indie wrestler at the moment. That's a tough question because there's so much good talent out here. So much good talent. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna pick nobody on my roster. I'm gonna pick Celeste Taylor out of Ohio. He could be signed right now. I'm not sure why he's not signed. He's a guy from Columbus, Ohio. I use in West Virginia a lot. He's actually gonna be coming up to PA and wrestle with me. We're just trying to figure out dates. Celeste Taylor. You might know him, Tony. You may remember Celeste?
You know what? Maybe if I saw him. I've been out of it for so long. A lot of the newer guys that have come along, I just haven't kept up with.
Yeah, Celeste is like a hidden gem for whatever reason. He did some Sakura stuff. He did some dog matches for Impact, but for whatever reason, never been signing to us. But he's actually Samoan, but he's like his mom or dad's Samoan, but he's not related to the Samoans. He's like from a different family, but athletic, can fly. He can do everything you possibly want. He can look face. He has good size, good shape. There's nothing I can say about the guy is bad. I'm just shocked that he's never been signed. So, yeah. So,
shout out to the Pittsburgh Card Show for putting that flyer up for you, man. They just they got that on their website already. And they're going to
tell the guys thank you so much.
Absolutely. So, they're real big on cross promotion, man. So, like I said, give me some flyers. I'll get them put out for you at the show this weekend.
Definitely. If that guy wants to send me a flyer, I'll put him on my Facebook. I got no problem doing that. You know, saying, hey, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, because I do got fans still on social media that is from the Pittsburgh area. I get fans to this day. When you coming back to West Virginia? When you coming back to Pittsburgh? When you coming back to New Kensington? I'm like, and as a small company, it's really hard to when you have like 2 people, 3 people doing everything in the company. It's really hard to book that many shows in that far places. You almost have to have a team in that area. Like if I had a team in Western PA dedicated to them shows only, I could say this is what we're gonna do. Go get us a building. We're gonna do it. And that team took care of the promotion side in Western PA. That would be lovely. And then if I had a team in the Philadelphia area that could dedicate themselves to the Philadelphia market, that's what you need to run multiple shows. And I'm working on that. I'm starting to get guys to see if they're able to do it, because it's a lot of work. And you, Tony, you know that. I mean, It's not like you wake up one morning and you go book a gym and say, okay, I'm gonna have a wrestling show. And that's the easy part. That's the easy part, So there's a lot to go into it. And so if I got teams dedicated in Western PA or West Virginia or Philadelphia area that I can rely on and I know they can do it, I would run shows all over the place because I just like doing it, but getting the help in the proper places to execute this and make sure it's going good is a tough part. If I had you, Tony, I definitely we would do something in Pittsburgh, definitely, because I know 100%. It's getting guys, and that's every company. It's not just my company. It's every company getting the right people in the right positions to do the more shows. A lot of people complain, why you only have one show a month? And then you start telling them, well, we got to do this, we got to do that. I mean, we only have 3 staff members, and maybe the one staff member never been in wrestling. He don't know what to do in wrestling. He don't know how to promote the show, how to set up the show, how to look for a building. So let's go. If Mark's really is serious about it, my Facebook page should be up here somewhere. I think so.
It's actually linked, and I have it in the show description as well. So if anyone wants to reach out to Joe, the 5-star wrestling links are going to be in the description and in the chat here. If this is on replay, you can even go into the live chat just by clicking the live chat button.
We do fundraisers. Listen, we do fundraisers. We do charity events. I have to work with Shriners Charity for my daughter. She's a Shriners kid. Yep. We've done stuff with churches before in New Kensington. We did all kinds of stuff in New Kensington. And then we do any kind of fundraisers, schools, fire departments, cops, anybody nonprofit is looking for a way to raise money for even your high school sports, Little League baseball, anybody that's looking for money to try to help raise money. I'm willing to do anything I can on my side to help you raise your funds. And if you guys are listening, you want to reach out to me, Tony has the information in the description. Reach out to me. And if you're in a town in PA, Ohio, West Virginia, New York, and you want wrestling in your town, contact me. I can help you bring wrestling to your town. I can. I have the company. We just need people in the streets to get these shows going in towns, because every town has wrestling fans. There's not been one town I ever ran that I couldn't find one wrestling fan. I mean, I've been in small towns, USA, like small towns, back hills, that I didn't think we were going to have any wrestling fans. And the night of the show, the 300 fans show up. So I'm like, man. So I just been in West Virginia. We're in Woodland, West Virginia. That town is so small. We have 300 people show up. Yep. I mean, that town maybe has 5,000 people. 300 people show up. In a blizzard, Tony, a blizzard. It was snowing. 300 fans show up. So, I mean, fans are everywhere. So don't ever think because you live in small town USA, there's no wrestling fans going to come out. That's just not true. Because you got kids liking wrestling. Grandpas used to like Bruno Sammartino, like Michael. I mean, you got people like us, like Eric Bischoff, Gangrel, Hulk Hogan. There's wrestling fans everywhere. And they're not going away. And so if you have a town that you want wrestling and you want to help bring wrestling to your town, by all means, get a hold of me. I will work with you, and we will bring wrestling to your town. I got no problem going anywhere. I've been all over the place. I've been to Maryland, Ohio, West Virginia, upstate New York, and PA, and I would love to expand it more. If we can make it work, I go to Florida, Texas, wherever we got to go to make it work. Hell, there was some talk saying we're going to I don't know what that country's called. What was that country that the guys were talking to us? What's that country called?
The Philippines.
The Philippines. There was talk about the Philippines. I got no boundaries about doing wrestling. If we can make it work, I'm 100% behind it. So if anybody out there wants to do anything wrestling related, even if you own a business and you can't do the wrestling, but you want a superstar to come to your business and do an autograph session, call me. We'll make it work. I got so many people. I mean, whatever works for you works for me. I mean, I can make stuff happen. So anything, car dealerships. If you're trying to get people to come out to your car dealership to do a show, and you want people to buy cars from you, we'll put an autograph session. Bring Ric Flair in, bring Steamboat in. Them guys will draw thousands of people. Like, I mean, that's how you get the people to your business. Bringing superstars that people know and want to see. And so, if anybody out there wants to do anything with us, get a hold of me. I'm open for business.
Yep. And guys, like I said, I will have his information down below as well. His IG is scrolling along the bottom of the screen here too. So if anyone's on Instagram, you can always reach out to him there as well. But I'll have the rest of his info down below as well. And real quick, I'm going to flash it on the screen for you as well. So again, just 5-Star Wrestling 1 on all social media platforms. The website will be 5starwrestling.net once it's finished. And there is a TV taping coming to Williamsport, Pennsylvania this July 1st. So make sure you guys are there. But Joe, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, man, and sharing all this information with us. I guess just one last question in closing. What advice would you have to, like, say, future Joey Rogers out there sitting hearing this, like, going, wow, you mean somebody like me who's just a regular person who loves wrestling, has always dreamed of being involved in some way, shape, or form? What advice would you give them on, like, pursuing that?
I would say be realistic of what you want to do and set your goals, realistic goals. If you physically can't do the wrestling aspect, there's other options, managers, promoters. My best advice is ask as many questions from people, not just one person, as many people inside the wrestling business as you can. Get all the feedback you can and really plan and know what you're getting into before you get into it. Like I said, my very first show was a disaster, and that was because I wasn't prepared. Be as prepared as you can. Even when you think you're prepared, you're not prepared because it's a whole new animal. And so I ask as many questions as you can. My best advice, too, is get with an independent company, any kind of independent company you can think of in your area, and go to work for them. Don't ask for no money. Go set up the ring, set up the chairs, help sell tickets, help hang up posters. That's how you learn about the wrestling business. When you see the matches going on at the show, that's the easy part. It's everything behind the scenes to lead up to that event. So you need to understand what goes into it if you're going to be the promoter. If you're going to be a wrestler, look out for wrestling schools that have a proven track record. It's a wrestling school in Pittsburgh called the IWC. They produce some of the best independent wrestlers throughout the country. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, IWC is probably the school I would tell people to go to. And there's other notable wrestling schools all over the United States. So look for somebody. If you want to be a wrestler that has a proven track record, you don't want to go to a guy that has nobody that they can recommend that they produce. You know what I mean? And you don't want to do that. I mean, there's a lot of scam artists out there saying they're going to train you, and they take your money, and in 6 weeks you're out the door. So and they call you trained, and that's not training somebody. You got to put months in to really know what you're doing before you actually in the match, because you seriously can hurt somebody. You can break your neck. You're going to hurt somebody, and you don't want to do that. So ask all the questions. Go to work for somebody. Go work for a company. That's the first thing you want to do is get with any company that's close to you and say, hi, my name is Joe. I don't want no money from you. I just want to learn about wrestling. Can I come work for you? I'll hang posters. I will sell tickets. I will set up the ring, tear the ring down. I will go pick up wrestlers from the airport. If you bring any names in, I will drive them to the building. I will take care of all that. I'll be your assistant. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And that's how you get into the wrestling business, by doing whatever you can. If you want it bad enough, you will do it. If you think you're going to get in the wrestling business and become a superstar overnight, forget about it. Go work at McDonald's because this ain't your business. Go to college because this ain't what you want to do. I mean, you got to put your time and effort into it and ask questions. And maybe at some point you might make money on wrestling. But at first, you got to put yourself available and valuable to the company, whatever you're working for. My best suggestion is go to a company in your local area and say, how can I help you? What can I do? I don't want no money from you. How can I help you? And take it from there. And, you might get involved and you might find out this is too much, man. Wow, this is crazy. I never thought this was like this. This is a lot of work. Or you might find it, this is for me. And then eventually, once you know the ropes and you know some of the talent and you know what goes on in wrestling, and you watch the other promoter do things, maybe at some point you can promote a show if that's what you want to do, or if you want to become a wrestler, there's other options. Video camera. If there's a video company in your area that tapes wrestling all the time, and you have an interest in becoming a video editor, contact that company and say, "Hey, I want to know about how to tape and wrestling and video wrestling. I just want to be a cameraman. You don't gotta pay me. I will show up and shoot the show with you guys. You show me how to use the camera, and I'll do everything you want me to do. And I just want to use that experience to learn how to do it, you know. And who knows? You might get good enough. They might hire you on as a paid job. DJs. If you're a DJ and you want to be a part of wrestling, there's so many companies that need DJs to set up entrance music for the show. And that's very important, as Tony would tell you. The entrance music is can ruin a show. If the DJ doesn't know what he's doing, it can ruin the whole show. I don't care. You have Hulk Hogan on there. If the DJ can't play I'm a Real American, the whole show sucks because he just screwed up the whole entrance.
Yeah.
So if you're a DJ and you want to get in the wrestling business, go to a promoter. Go to DJ wrestling guys that are actually doing the music at shows and say, I'm a DJ and I want to become a DJ for wrestling. Can you show me what to do and how to do it? A lot of them guys will bring you on and say, okay, we'll start helping you, but you're going to work for free for us. So, I mean, it's all about paying your dues and getting in the right places. And how you do that is going these places and doing it right. Don't go through the back door and thinking you're going to get into the wrestling business because your buddy's in the wrestler, so he's going to get you in the back door and you think you're going to be on the shows. It doesn't work like that. If soon the guys feel out that you're kind of they call them yarders, and Tony knows the term. You won't have a wrestling career, I promise you that. Once they figure out that you've never been trained or you never paid your dues, you're probably not going to be on any wrestling shows ever. So the first thing is getting in the front door and just telling the guys, hey, I'll do anything. I'll do anything to learn the wrestling business. Whatever your sites are, DJ, video, wrestler, promoter, anything. Even if you just want to set the ring up and you just want to be ring crew, which every company needs. I don't care. WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, I don't care what company it is. They always need ring crew. You contact these people and say, hey, I know you're coming to my town on such and such a date. I don't want no money. I just want to help set the ring up. At least you got your foot in the door. Once you get your foot in the door, you start shaking hands, greeting people. They see your work ethic, and you're working hard for these people. They'll start saying, hey, you want to come to Chicago? You want to come to the next town? Because I see you out here busting your butt. We need guys like that. And then they just start bringing you on the other shows. That's how it happens. First thing first is getting your foot in the door and just do whatever they ask you to do. And don't think that you're going to get to the company and all of a sudden that you made. Because the faster you got in the company, the faster you get out of the company. You know what I mean? You coming in there, I will do anything you want me to. I won't be a problem, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, you're in the locker room talking to the boys like you're a part of the wrestling show. And you're telling the boys what's going to happen tonight, or what you think should happen tonight, stuff like that. Talent going to be mad. They're going to go to the promoter. They're going to tell the promoter, hey, this guy's a jackass. Where did this guy come from? I thought he was ring crew. Why is he back here telling us how to put our matches on or what to do in our matches? Like, who's he? So it's not going to work like that. It takes time and effort, and it doesn't happen overnight. So all I can say is go to the company any companies locally that you want to be involved in, and just offer your help. Offer your help. That's step one. And a lot of companies will take you in. And they will show you the ropes over time once they get to know you and once they feel comfortable with you. It's not going to happen overnight. So, and Tony, you can attest to that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, wrestling's definitely one of those old school mentality businesses where, like, you have to pay your dues or else just no one respects you. You know,
and you won't get nowhere. And you won't get nowhere. I don't care if you was a principal out of school or you're a military 5-star general. You get in the wrestling business, and it's a totally different animal. So everything you did outside of wrestling doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care what you was, a cop, a superhero in the movie. It doesn't matter. Once you get in the wrestling business, look at Dave Arquette. He was the big time actor. He comes in the wrestling business. He's working indie shows. He's not on TV. He's on indie shows working. So I mean, and and he's a wrestler. He's trained to be a wrestler. He's on indie shows, and he's a nobody. Like he's not David Arquette, the movie star. He's like David Arquette, the indie guy. And if you look at the indie shows that he's on, he's just like another indie guy. He's not like anybody that you would think like he's a movie star. It's not like that. I mean, once you get in the wrestling business, everything you did outside of wrestling doesn't count. Is what it is.
Yeah. Especially among the boys, like I can imagine like the Ronda Rouseys of the world who come in as like major celebrities and get like huge pushes, you know what I mean? Like, wrestling's a very like dog eat dog business. You know, a lot of people, there's a ton of great people, but there's also a ton of people like, hey, you're not taking my spot. You know what I mean? So,
right. Ronda Rousey, I think, did say that in a couple of interviews that she had a hard time when she first came in there. Because a lot of people are like, who the hell you think you are? You're just going to come in here and you're going to win the title and you're going to take this spot with Triple H and Stephanie, but it should be one of our spots. But over time, she proved herself and people started to open up to her. Like, okay, she's in here, she's doing this, she's doing that. But yeah, I mean, I feel bad for some of the guys that come in there, like you said, being celebrities in another world and coming into wrestling, and you're starting from the bottom. You're not anybody better than anybody else.
Definitely. I mean, they might get a little bit of a push out the gate, but I mean, jealousy is definitely a real thing. Like, and when you come in, like, and you have like built-in heat just as like a celebrity, it's tough unless you can like really make it work.
Right. Yeah, definitely. The locker room will mess with you with your bags, mess with you in the locker room. You go out for your match, come back, your bags will be missing. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Or they throw them out in the hallway. You come back from your match and your bag's in the hallway. It's basically telling you we don't want you in the locker room. So I mean, how do you do that? How does a talent or a celebrity go to the promoter and say, "Hey, they threw my bags out in the hallway"? Then how does that make you look? You can't say nothing. You know what I mean? You basically got to suck it up. I heard the Miz when he came from MTV, Bradshaw, all them guys are bullying him, beating him up and everything in the matches. They just terrorize him, and he stuck it through. Now he got a lot of respect. Like he's one of the most respected guys in WWE, but he went through hell because he came out from MTV, and they're looking at him like, well, who the hell do you think you are? I mean, you can just come in a wrestling business thinking because you're an MTV guy, you think you're somebody special. I mean, if you hear the stories, I mean, you look on YouTube, he had so many interviews up there where he said Bob Hawley, Bradshaw, JBL, among the other guys, there's stories bags out in the hallway, smack them around. I mean, all kind of stuff. It's crazy. But and that's basically the respect thing. And see how bad you want it, If you really want to be in a business and you want to be a wrestler, then you would do the extra mile to be in it. That's why I say anybody that wants to be in wrestling, you got to pay your dues. You got to help out. You got to make sure that these people believe that you want to be in it. And and I'm not saying that you go in there and you put your life on the line. I'm not saying that, but you go in there and you be respectful and be thankful because at the end of the day, pro wrestling don't owe nobody nothing. We're just grateful to be a part of pro wrestling. I mean, pro wrestling is going to be here. If I'm not going to be in pro wrestling tomorrow, it's still going to go on. So I'm just grateful for all the time that I was in wrestling and did all the stuff for me. Pro wrestling don't own a damn thing. I mean, we as I tell my guys, you're in wrestling now. You got to build up for the next generation to come in. You're always leaving a good path for the next generation. The last thing you want to do is be disrespectful for the next generation to see that, and they think they can come in and do the same thing. And that's when wrestling gets a black eye. You need to have disrespectful and be disrespected and doing bad things, not being trained, not knowing how to kill yourself in the locker room. That kind of stuff gives wrestling a black eye real fast. And I have seen stuff on my show where guys will shoot on you. We call it shoot on you. They'll actually try to hurt you. And because they feel like you're disrespecting the business. And there's some big guys out there. Seth James. I had a show in East Brady, PA, and there's a wrestler named Danny Abel. Danny Abel thought he was the cream of the crop. And Seth James is a big dude. He's probably 6'6", and he's built. I mean, built like this brick house. And he was laying into Danny in the matches. Like, I mean, I thought he was going to rip his head off. He was clotheslining him. And clotheslining was like, I said, Jesus Christ, I thought he was going to rip his head off. I told him about the match. I said, I understand what you're doing, but you please don't kill the kid. You know what I mean? I understand you're trying to beat some respect into him. And one thing to Danny's credit, he's never complained about it. Never once. And I said, Steph was laying into him. And you know Steph from FNW days. He's a big dude. I was like, and I knew he was doing it because a lot of the boys in the back was already complaining about him. He was saying, oh, he thinks he's a know-it-all. Danny's is a prick. And I knew when that was going on, it was happening. And as a promoter, you can't go to any of the talent and say, hey, you can't do that. You know, you can't do that because then it makes you look bad. Then you'll get heat with the talent. So basically, for the most part, as Tony would tell you, you let the veterans in the locker room control the locker room. That's the best way to do it because they will control. And if you have good veterans in your locker room, you'll never have no problems. Because once the young boys will start getting out of line, the veterans will put them back in line. Ask the Undertaker. The Undertaker was a veteran in WWE for the longest time. If you hear any of the new guys or any of the guys that came up when Undertaker was in there, they would tell you he was well respected. What he said goes. It's his bottom line. Even with Andre. If you hear the guys in the 80s and in the 90s when Andre was around, they called him boss. Hey, boss, because he ran the locker room. What Andre said, what? Even Hulk Hogan, when he was wrestling him in WrestleMania 3, he said, I didn't know Andre was going to let me do it or not. And Hogan's a big dude.
Yeah.
He said, I didn't know if Andre was going to let me win that match or not because I didn't know nothing because Andre didn't tell me. And Andre was playing games with him. He wanted to see what Hogan was about and stuff. So up until WrestleMania that day of the show, Hogan had no idea if Andre was going to allow him to win that match. So, I mean, when you got veterans like that listen, if we don't want you winning that match, you're not going to win that match. Bottom line, you want to be an asshole, we'll be an asshole back to you. So, the Taker, Andre, all them guys are well-respected veterans, even on an independent level. You got a couple of respected veterans in your locker room, you're never going to have no problems because them guys will set the record straight before anything will break out or anything like that. So, definitely, definitely.
Awesome, man. Well, again, I appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight and just share with us like kind of your journey, what you've been through, kind of what you have coming up. Guys, do me a favor, please go and follow 5 Star Wrestling. You may see me at one of his upcoming shows. Spoiler alert, this July one, I'll be out of town, so I won't be able to make that one, but potentially the next one.
Tell your girlfriend to come to the PA. Tell your girlfriend to the PA.
I'll tell you what, if Mark's serious about bringing one to Pittsburgh, I'll even help you guys with the show.
I definitely. I tell you, there's a lot of good markets in Pittsburgh. I mean, Washington, PA is a great market for wrestling. New Kensington. I mean, where's the New Kensington drawing? I mean, every show we had New Kensington with the church and everything, we drove 200-300 people.
Mark's like the king of Washington, so that might work.
That's a great market for wrestling. I had fans in West Virginia that was from Washington, PA. That was probably like 25 minutes from Woodton. They would drive over from there just for the wrestling stuff. So I know there's fans in Washington, PA. So that's a good market. If he's serious about it, I mean, I'd definitely be interested to talk to him and see if we can make something happen. And we can get Tony Hansen back for at least for one night. I mean, even if he's a manager, a commissioner.
Honestly, I'm willing to do stuff like occasionally. It's just a matter of like if my schedule's like has me in the same city as you at the same time is that's the biggest conflict for me right now. But like I said, like just going to that PTW show with Blaze, it was like, God, I need to do this again.
100%. 100%. It's addictive. I mean, it's addictive.
Yep. Absolutely. But yeah, guys, again, I appreciate everyone being here tonight. Joe, sorry we kept you late, brother. But no,
again, it's okay, brother. It's okay. I was feeling it. I didn't know how I was going to feel about talking about it because sometimes I like to talk about it. Sometimes I don't like to talk about it. It's just protecting of the business. But tonight I was just feeling it. Having you here with me, so it's great. What this guy's saying?
He's asking Michael, did you get his package? Did you get John's package, Michael?
I did. I did get it. I was typing. I don't need to type. I can just say I forgot. Yes, I did get it. I'm going to make a video of opening it.
Very true, Blaze. Pittsburgh's a wonderful town for indie wrestling.
my God,
if it wasn't for Pittsburgh, I wouldn't even ever have been in the business. So big shout out to my guy Crusher Hansen, who basically taught me everything I know about wrestling. So
yeah, definitely. Pittsburgh is a really great market for wrestling. They got a lot of great companies out here. I can't say nothing bad about any of the companies he just mentioned. I mean, all great quality companies. So any of the companies he just mentioned, if you're a fan in the Pittsburgh area, definitely go out and check them guys out. A lot of great talent, a lot of upcoming talent. So definitely check them guys out.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we'll see you next week over on Huddle Card Collection. Make sure you subscribe to Michael if you haven't.
Yep.